Hey, Democrats, when you hear voter discrepancy, that just means ka-ching for Donald Trump. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Going to talk a little bit about this election that's about to be overturned. Why? Because Donald Trump was cheated. And let me just tell you, Democrats, get ready for the biggest scandal in your lives. And that's hard to believe because you've had so many. Sidney Powell made the comment, I'm going to read this. She said, it would be beneficial for Joe Biden to concede the race before he incriminates himself for widespread election fraud that could put him behind bars for the rest of his life. Rudy Giuliani and I are working on it. Remember when Biden said, we have the biggest cheating organization going on for this election that you can imagine, or something like that?
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
So Joe Biden admits that this big election cheat is happening, and Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani and the rest of the president's team is saying, hey guys, you're not going to win this. And I'm going to tell you something. Democrats are panicked. And let me tell you why. Because this is about to happen. They're about to get slapped. That's right. Every time you hear voter discrepancy, it's going into the win column for Donald Trump. And it'll be little ones here and there. Oh, Nevada's going to revote or overturn 280 votes or 2,600 votes in Georgia or whatever. It'll be the little stuff. But the little stuff isn't going to matter because, like General McInerney said, he said the hammer is about to fall.
Hammer and scorecard. Hammer is a surveillance tool designed to seek out terrorists, started in 2003. It was converted by the Biden administration into a surveillance tool to listen to American people and record what they were doing. The scorecard is an application like on your iPhone that can manipulate voting data, keep it within 3% so it's not obvious, but switch it from Trump to Biden, which the Democrats did in this election. And it is clearly one of the most subtle and stealthy ways of changing voting that there is today. And this is the first massive attack in the United States history. So now there'll be no more free election, Chris, after this one, if we get this issue resolved.
Well, General, I got to ask, because is there verifiable information that the Trump administration can use, that our citizens can see, that we can say that it was deployed in this election against American voters?
Yes, and we will show specifically at what time, for instance, in Michigan at 0400 on the 4th of November, 138,000 votes came in for Biden. We'll show a whole host of these that around the country in the key battleground states that were attacked, the time and how many votes were changed. And we'll have to compare it manually to the votes that went in to the Secretary of State's office and then that came out, the differential. Because people they all realize, I think, that the voting machines are not hooked up to the internet. There are some in Texas that are, but in general they are. They're bundled, go up to the state Secretary of State, and there at certain points, they're shifted onto the internet and distributed. And that's where Hammer is put in, and they put the scorecard application on it and manufacture a different vote total, in this particular case, in favor of Biden. This has to be proved because it'll have to go to a court of law.
Because they have this thing that they look at, they go to look at when all this occurred. And the burning question for everybody is, how could they coordinate shutting down all the elections in the battleground states as Trump was surging? Who gave the order? Did you issue the code red? Did you issue the code red? Or did you?
Did you order the code red?
You're goddamn right I did. Here's the problem. The problem is that during that coordinated effort, Donald Trump was surging. And as Sidney Powell has indicated, and as I said from day one, I said they never anticipated the popularity of Donald Trump. Oh, those stupid rallies. I think Ilhan Omar called them Klan rallies. 75 million, 74 million, whatever, 80 million Americans who support Donald Trump would walk through fire for him are now all Klan members because, the Ilhan Omar doesn't like the way we think. So long story short, the Democrats counted on having about 70 million. They figured, if he is popular, he can't be that much more popular than baby black Jesus in 2008. Barack Obama got 68 million. Let's plan for, I don't know, okay, to do times three, to do the math, 70 million. And they did. And they set all the computers, all the algorithms to say, when Donald Trump gets here, flip him. And then you know what happened? Donald Trump blew through like Superman, baby black Jesus's numbers, and suddenly all the algorithms were off. So they decided, shut it down, but pipe burst in Atlanta. And then they decided, let's go ahead and go for the fraud. And they did. But they had to go in such a big way that they exposed everything. And they had to bring in so many people that they couldn't keep a lid on it. And that's where we are today. So here's the problem for the Democrats. Once this is discovered, and the media has been talking about, there is no voter fraud, there is no voter this or that. The media eats even more crow. Not that we believe these clowns anyway. So when the media eats that crow, and they have to now admit there's irrefutable evidence that this occurred, what happens? You're going to burn down cities over the truth? What are you going to do? They got nothing. Then what's worse for the Democrats, every single thing that they did to go after Donald Trump, Ukraine and the impeachment, Russian collusion, guess what happens to all of that? It gets brought to light. And if you think for 1 second that second term Donald Trump is going to treat them with kid gloves, is going to say, no harm, no foul, it was just a good fight like he did with Hillary Clinton, you better rethink it. Donald Trump is going to release the crack and he is going to declassify. Don't be surprised if Richard Grenell runs all the clandestine agencies and he starts declassifying everything and exposing these Democrats for what they are. Now, here's the big deal. Let me just tell you, American citizens listening to Kevin Jackson, when you sit there and you decide who you're going to pick for an election, who do you want? I'm going to tell you, what Donald Trump has exposed is the big cabal. The big cabal is this. I believe Democrats and rhino Republicans, people who don't give a crap about us to representing us, they get together and they say, you're going to win this time around, we'll win next time around. And this is the way this has been done, where they say, okay, Nancy Pelosi will keep the House, you guys will barely keep the Senate, and we'll flip the presidency or put the presidency here or there, and we'll all agree. And that's what happened with Romney. But in this particular case, Donald Trump said, I don't agree, because he wasn't part of it. And he fought it. And now this has to end, because what the Democrats and Republicans have done is they said, we'll share power. And as long as nobody spills the beans, we can determine the winners and the losers wherever we want them. And we, the public, we're duped. We're thinking, well, we're the ones that, we're on the side of the good guys. Look, there are no good guys in politics. There just aren't any. The only good guy is the guy that we currently have in the White House who said, I will expose all of their dirty tricks. And what he was talking about were things involving our money, our finance. He was like, I'll get your tax money back. I'll get trade back in order. I'll bring manufacturing back and it'll all be good. Donald Trump had no idea of what was happening until this election. And as the saying goes, sometimes you got to lose a battle in order to win the war. And this is exactly where we find ourselves, winning the war, because no longer will we get these stupid voting machines from Dominion or Seidel from Canada and Spain. No longer will our votes be counted in Germany. No longer will all this nonsense happen, because we will at some point devise a system that tracks every single vote for every single legal voter. And that is the demise of the Democrats. They got nowhere to go. And this is what's going to happen to them. That's right. The Democrats are going to get skank slapped because that's what they've done to themselves. They have exposed every single crooked thing that they've done. And you're good. Let me just tell you, the American citizen going forward, when all this information comes out, they will look at elections differently. And here's the problem. I already said it, but I'll say it again. Democrats can't win when they can't cheat. And you're going to watch whole cities flip. You want to talk about the best thing that could happen to the education system, the best thing that could happen to the tax base, the best thing that could happen to all these things that the Democrats have pretended with the help of this media that that is grave for America, grave for the world. Things like climate change going to be no longer be discussed. Things like diversity, equity, and inclusion no longer going to be discussed. You want to know why? Because you can't impact the weather. And because America is diverse, equitable, and inclusive to those who are willing to work for it. So it's all going to go away. And Democrats are going to learn that all their trickery, all their craziness, they've been in the minority for the longest time. They won't get any help from the media because things like this, my broadcast, KEV Talks, many others, Brandon Tatum, Candace Owens, many of them will continue to be the voice of reason. We will be the message of truth. We have replaced media because you know why? I don't have a dog in the fight. The only thing I care about is what's best for this country. That's what you care about. That's not what Democrats care about. That's not what politicians care about. What they care about is what's best for them. And our champion, the guy that we put into office in 2016 by the grace of God, is the reason why we are here at this moment. And on November 3rd, when many of you were licking your wounds and you were lamenting what's going on here, you didn't feel like losers. You want to know why? Because you knew you hadn't lost. You knew you were right. You knew every indication about the popularity of Donald Trump was correct. Many of you didn't vote for him before, or you voted holding your nose, or you just didn't like it, but you did it anyway for whatever reason. Many of you were never Trumpers. You were never going to vote for him. And you know what happened? Millions of you became influenced to say, this guy is the guy that's making change. He's the guy that's making a difference. Don't agree with him all the time, but you know what? I support him. And now the average Trump voter will walk through fire for him. And that's the Democrats' problem. They got two problems. One, how do you reconcile that Joe Biden is the most popular person on the planet? And two, why did all those votes change simultaneously? How are you going to reconcile that? So we are in the perfect position. Understand this. Democrats all over this country are panicking because they know that the Trump campaign knows how this was done, and they know who did it. And once they start doing perp walks, and I'm telling you, it's coming. Forget the Durham report. Has anybody even talked about the Durham report? It is so far down the line compared to this. This is the latest, biggest scandal because it is the biggest scandal in American history. And Democrats are going to fall. They brought their party down, and just like we predicted, it was Donald Trump who did it. Because of you, we blew through that first 1,000. Now we're way above that. We're shooting for the stratosphere. I can't thank you enough for your support. So please keep watching KEV Talks. Share them with others. Don't be a hog. Let other people know. These can be shared. It's not that big of a deal. You don't lose anything. Anyway, thanks again.